That's a good idea. Yes.
Well,
Jody is
JR is
Parkside?
no, but I.
So, well, very good to see you. I only see you. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yes. I was gonna say.
I don't want to be comfortable.
No. So, where do you live? I always see you post beautiful stuff about your house. It's across the road. We were at Harvest Ridge when they told me, gosh.
I just. And they did the stint. He was out in called Pat and sister and said, I had a heart attack. You really researched this a lot. You're worth more money.
She kind of does things like
Good evening. Welcome to the Kent County Levy Court Business Meeting for Tuesday, June 13th, 2023. The meeting is being held in Levy Court Chambers, room 203. Before we really officially open the meeting, I'll turn the meeting over to the County Administrator to explain how those that want to join us by phone and or WebEx can do so. Mr. County Administrator, turn over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. This meeting is being offered in person at 555 Bay Road, Dover, Delaware, in room 203. We're also making it available for people to join us via the internet through WebEx. Participants can either join us by computer or by telephone throughout the course of the meeting. There will be opportunities for public comments from those attending in person or online at the designated times. For those joining us by phone, press star 3, which will raise your electronic hand so our operator can identify you and bring you into the meeting. Pressing star 6 will mute and unmute your line. If you're on a computer, at the bottom of the screen, you'll see the hand and microphone icons, and we ask that you use those at the appropriate times. We also ask that all comments from our guests be preceded by stating your name and address for the record. Any comments taken during our public hearing testimony will be sworn by our attorney. This meeting is being recorded and will follow all the rules of procedure adopted by Levy Court, as well as the Mason's Rules of Orders. Mr. President, back to you.
All right, thank you. At this time, we'll call the meeting to order. I'll ask Commissioner Maston for the invocation, Commissioner Scott for the Pledge of Allegiance, and Commissioner Sweeney for a moment of silence for our troops and first responders. All rise, please.
Our Heavenly Father, please look over us this evening as we go through some very serious business here that has effects on the county. Give us your guidance and your spirit to get us through, and that we do the right things for the county. Amen.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence to honor our military, law enforcement, firefighters, paramedics, and first responders who have lost their lives in the line of duty protecting our lives, or our way of life. Please remember these individuals who died in the line of duty, as well as keeping their families in your thoughts and prayers as they deal with the loss of their loved ones over the last month and a half. Police Officer Kimberly Sikafus from the Alabama Port Authority Police, Sergeant Joshua Lee Klaus from the Cameron Police Department in Texas, Deputy Sheriff Brett Harris from the Riverside County Sheriff's Department in California, Sergeant Michael Kunovich from the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office in Florida, Deputy Sheriff Caleb Conley from the Scott County Sheriff's Office in Kentucky, Deputy Sheriff Marcus Ziegler from the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office in Ohio, Police Officer Horan Tyler from the Madison Police Department in Missouri, Corporal Sean Kelly from the Denham Springs Police Department in Louisiana, Sergeant Corey Maynard from the West Virginia State Police, K-9 Hudson from the Kane County Sheriff's Office in Illinois, K-9 Santos from the Wake County Sheriff's Office in North Carolina, K-9 Chase from the Cobb County Police Department in Georgia, Lieutenant Richard Hempel from the Grosbeck Volunteer Fire and Rescue in Texas, Assistant Chief Kyle Osgood from the Farmland Volunteer Fire Department in Farmland, Indiana, and firefighter James Mueller from the Irmo Fire District in Columbia, South Carolina. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Sweeney. Mr. Tanaka, can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Angel? Absent. Mr. Hall?
Here.
Mr. Hertz?
Here.
Mrs. Maston?
Here.
Mr. Scott?
Here.
Mr. Sweeney?
Here.
Mr. Pepper?
Here.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, or 6 present, and 1 absent.
Thank you. We do have a quorum. Commissioner Angel is in Washington DC this evening, has been all since the weekend on a county business and having a conference over there. So I think he's going to try to join us by phone tonight, but if he doesn't, we'll know that he is working for the county. Okay, need a motion for the adoption of this evening's agenda?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Motion by
Thanks.
Commissioner Sweeney, second by Commissioner Masson. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none or hearing none, can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Angel? Absent. Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. This evening's agenda has been approved. A consent agenda 23-06.
Move to approve, Mr. President.
Second. Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Sweeney, second by Commissioner Scott. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Angel? Absent. Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll call reveals consent agenda 23-06 has been approved. Mr. Quayler, we have some introductions.
Good evening, President Pepper, Commissioners. We do have 5 new employees hired during the month of May, and we have 3 here tonight to be introduced. The first will be introduced by Director of Community Services, Jeremy Shepard, and he'll be followed by Director of Public Works, Diana Galt. Jeremy?
Better late than never, they say. Good evening, Commissioners. It's my pleasure to introduce 2 new employees for the Department of Community Services, one in the library and one in the parks. Up first is Jonathan Fancher. Go ahead, stand up, sir. He recently started as a Library Tech 1 in the Library Division on May 8th. However, he was originally hired as a contractual library clerk, or a part-timers, back in March. Prior to that, he worked as a mental health technician with Sun Behavioral Health. Jonathan obtained his bachelor's degree in political science and global studies from the University of Kansas. He resides in Commissioner Scott's and Commissioner Pepper's district. Jonathan?
I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you for letting me be able to work with the Kent County in this way. We're driving the mobile library to service everyone in the Kent County to get some quality literature. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Scott. Any welcoming words?
Jonathan, welcome aboard, and hope to see you here for a long time.
Congratulations, and welcome to the Kent County family.
Next is Jonathan Davis. However, he goes by Taylor. He was hired as a Parks Maintenance Worker 1 in the Parks and Recreation Division on May 30th, 2023. Most recently, he worked for Smyrna School District as a custodian and grounds maintenance. Prior to that, he worked for First Cut Lawn Service as a landscape laborer. Jonathan does not live in the county, but he's happy to be working here.
I just want to thank everybody for having me in the family of the Kent County Parks and Rec. It's a great job, and it's honestly exactly where I wanted to be from the day I started landscaping. So thank you for having me.
Welcome aboard, and wish you a long career here.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm glad to welcome 2 new employees to the Department of Public Works. First, in the engineering division, we have Faith Moore, who was hired as an Office Support Specialist 1 on May 8th. She worked as a clerical receptionist for the Harrington Senior Center, and prior to that, she was a teacher at the Cesar Rodney and Milford School Districts. She has a bachelor's degree in music education from Frostburg State University. Faith, would you like to say a few words?
I just want to thank everyone for the opportunity to serve the residents of Kent County and be part of a wonderful team with the Public Works Engineering Division.
Welcome aboard.
And I did not say, she does not reside in Kent County, but she is also glad to be here, similar to the statement that Jeremy made. The next employee to be introduced is Pat McPhail. He was hired as a maintenance mechanic 1 in the wastewater facilities division on May 30th. Most recently, he worked in construction for Norman W. Johnson Builders. And prior to that, he worked for Mayor and Council of Middletown as a code official. Pat resides in Commissioners Angels and Peppers districts. Pat, would you like to say something?
Sure. I would just like to say thank you for the opportunity to work for Kent County government. Thank you.
Commissioner Angel's not here, but Patrick, welcome aboard. And congratulations on your son just graduated from high school.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yep. Look forward to a big career here.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank
you. Okay. I believe that concludes our introductions for this evening. It is now 7:01, and at this time we have public hearings. First items on the agenda under Commissioner Hall, ordinances pertaining to the creation of library tax districts. Commissioner Hall, I'll turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ordinance LC 23-13, ordinance creating the Duck Creek Library Tax District. The County of Kent hereby ordains pursuant to provisions of 9 Delaware C, Section 801, at ESK, there is hereby established a Duck Creek Library Tax District, a legal description for which is attached hereto as Exhibit A, and a map illustrating same is attached hereto as Exhibit B and made a part thereof. There is hereby created a library commission for the purpose of advising the levy court on the operation of the library district, and the officers, members, and rules and regulations of the commission shall be designated and from time to time amended by resolution of the levy court of Kent County. The county shall levy and raise by taxation a special Duck Creek library tax for the purpose of establishment of said library district and for the maintenance, increase, and support of libraries such sum of money as is annually approved in a budget for such purpose by the levy court, with said budget to be adopted at the same time the annual county budget is adopted. Said library tax shall be levied upon the real property located within the Duck Creek Library District according to the most recent assessment list in the county and shall be in addition to and levied at the same time as the county tax. If any section, paragraph, sentence, clause, or phrase of this ordinance shall be declared invalid for any reason whatsoever, same shall not affect the remaining portions of this ordinance, which shall continue in full force and effect, and to this end, the provisions of this ordinance are hereby declared to be severable.
Okay, this is a public hearing, so we'll open the public hearing on ordinance LC 23-13. And as in all public hearings, we ask folks that are in favor and against to testify here tonight. We'll also give the opportunity to those that are on the phone to also testify tonight. So with public hearing ordinance LC 23-13 being open, I'll ask anyone who is in the audience that is in favor of this ordinance to please come forward and state your reasons. Anyone in favor?
My name is Johnette Oldham. I live in Smyrna, well, on the outskirts of Smyrna, but nevertheless in Smyrna. I'm a lurid reader. I love to read.
And before you get started, we're going to have you sworn in or affirmed.
Oh, geez.
For the public hearing. So the county attorney can take care of that little obligation.
Do I come up there or down here?
You're fine, ma'am. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Absolutely.
Ma'am, could you tell me your name and what's your name?
Oh, Johnette, Jonette. Last name is Oldham, leftover meat, Oldham.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. I was born and raised in Newcastle County, and we had a lot of libraries there, and I was one of their favorite patrons because I was cute and little. But after I got married, we moved into Kent County, and purchased a home in Brentford Station. Brentford Station, when we moved in, besides the town itself, was little more than just the town itself. Most of the outlying areas were farms. And if you take a look at it today, you'll see it's boom. The library was always one of my favorite places to go in Smyrna. It was limited in what it could provide, and that was when we were one of the few new developments in the area. Since that time, it's been boom. We've outgrown what we need to be able to serve with that size library. So in any case, we need a larger library, but we need to have more space with more room to meet the needs of all the people within the community. Walking to the library is not anything that is necessarily able to be accomplished for most people, because the majority of the people, I believe, in that area live outside the town limits. They live, as I do, outside the limits. So I believe that we would be better served with a bigger library. We have been working on this project for a few years, and I think it's time that it comes to fruition. It's not a big deal. I mean, most places these days have a larger size library. They've given up their smaller libraries. The only one I can think of is the one, oh geez, in Odessa. Yeah, that's still there. I like going there too. I'm a library junkie, but them's the breaks. But I would really, really, really appreciate it if you could all see it clear. It's not going to be a big deal. That the tax rate should be relatively small, as opposed to what they're paying in Newcastle County. So I don't see any big deal about the whole thing. Thank you very much for your patience.
Thank you. Thank you for being here tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else here this evening, please come forward. Please state your name and address and be sworn or affirmed, please.
I'm Kathy Messer, and I'm president of the Duck Creek Regional Library Association.
Ma'am, do you swear the testimony you're about to give be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes. And my address is 1073 7 Hickories Road, and it's Clayton, but I'm between Cheswold and Kenton. So I'm a proud resident of Kent County. I'd love to take this opportunity just to say that we're so glad that we have come to this moment tonight after many, many years of working on this project for Smyrna, and after a lot of people's hard work. There are many people looking down from heaven tonight that worked on this, and we hope to make sure that we see it to fruition. We want this to pass so that we have it for our costs and operations. We're fortunate to have most of the money to build this wonderful new building that is so needed in the Smyrna area. And we just appreciate all your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else here tonight in favor of ordinance LC 23-13? Anyone else in favor, please come forward. Mark, do we have anyone online in favor?
If there's anyone joining us online that would like to speak in favor of ordinance LC 23-13, please indicate by raising your electronic hand at this time. I see no hands raised, Mr. President.
Thank you. At this time, we'll give the opportunity for any of those that are opposed to ordinance LC 23-13, please come forward and state your reason why. Anyone opposed, please come forward. Mark, do we have anyone opposed online?
Similarly, if there's anyone joining us online that would like to speak in opposition of ordinance LC 23-13, please indicate by raising your electronic hand. Still no hands raised online, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any commissioners have any questions before I close the public hearing? Seeing none at this time, I'll close the public hearing, and I'll ask Commissioner Hall for a motion on ordinance LC 23-13.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to approve ordinance LC 23-13, ordinance creating the Duck Creek Library Tax District.
Before I second this motion, I'd like to make a comment. I have a process, for those of you who don't know me, I have a process that I need to get through. One of those processes includes social media. I was kind of opposed to this when it first came up, but I went to social media and asked the question, and the overwhelming response came back from those in the Smyrna-Clayton area that they were in favor of this. For a much-needed library, for that district, for the Smyrna School District, for the Smyrna area, for the northern part of Kent County. So I second the motion.
Thank you. I have a motion by Commissioner Hall, second by Commissioner Sweeney. Any questions on the motion? Don't see any. Can we have roll call, please, on the motion?
Mr. Angel? Absent. Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Abstain.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 5 yeas, 1 absent, and 1 abstaining.
Thank you. Roll call reveals that ordinance LC 23-13 has been approved by Kent County Levy Court. Okay, item number 2, Commissioner Hall, ordinance LC 23-14.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ordinance LC 2314, ordinance creating the Lake Forest Library Tax District. The County of Kent hereby ordains, pursuant to the provisions of 9 Delaware C, Section 801 et esc., there is hereby established a Lake Forest Library Tax District, a legal description for which is attached hereto as Exhibit A, and a map illustrating the same is attached hereto as Exhibit B, and made a part hereof. There is hereby created a library commission for the purpose of advising the levy court on the operation of the library district, and the officers, members, and rules and regulations for the commission shall be designated and from time to time amended by the resolution of the levy court of Kent County. The county shall levy and raise by taxation a special Lake Forest library tax for the purpose of the establishment of said library district, and for the maintenance and increase and support of library, such sum of money as is annually approved in a budget for such purpose by the levy court, with said budget to be adopted at the same time the annual county budget is adopted. Said library tax shall be levied upon the real property located within the Lake Forest Library District according to the most recent assessment list in the county, and shall be in addition to and levied at the same time as the county tax. If any section, paragraph, sentence, clause, or phrase of this ordinance shall be declared invalid for any reason whatsoever, same shall not affect the remaining portions of this ordinance, which shall continue in full force and effect and to this end, the provisions of this ordinance are hereby declared to be severable.
Thank you. At this time, we'll open public hearing on ordinance LC 23-14. Ordinance LC 23-14. And I'll ask anyone in the audience that is in favor of this ordinance to please come forward and give your reasons why. Anyone in the audience in favor, please come forward.
Rhonda Mitchell.
Good evening, ma'am. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes. My address is 68 Fox Chase Road, Felton. I live in District 4. I am here to actually speak in two ways. I am on the Library Advisory Committee and made this recommendation for this library tax. And I want to make sure that I'm here to support it since I made the recommendation. Second, I live in the Lake Forest School District and represent that district. And therefore, this library is so important to this district. I spend at least once a week in the library with my child, and I can't imagine not to have those services in place. Without this money, there's no way the programs can continue to be, especially with them building a new library, and effective tomorrow will be the groundbreaking. I totally support this, and I want to make sure my voice is heard and the district is heard. So thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Don't see any. Thank you. Anyone else here in favor of ordinance LC 23-14? Anyone else in favor, please come forward. Please give us your name and address, please, sir.
Gary Miller, 7591 Whiteleysburg Road, just outside the town of Harrington.
Good evening, sir. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. I remember about 30 years ago, maybe a little bit longer, when we got our first library. It was a trailer on the main drag, and there wasn't much to it then, and eventually we moved into the building we're currently in. We were supposed to have another library years ago where the police department is now, and that fell through. And we ended up with the building we have now, but we desperately do need a new library to accommodate all the residents within the Lake Forest District who use the library. I remember also about 20 years ago when the people of the town actually tried to get the library closed down because they claimed it didn't bring in any money for the town, and therefore it wasn't a necessity. And fortunately, that attitude has long passed. And I think now that we're really on a roll, is the time to move forward. I don't think it will hurt anybody a few cents a year for a library tax. And I think it's a good place to put our money. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else in the audience in favor? Anyone else in favor, please come forward. Anyone online, Mark?
If you're joining us online and would like to speak in favor of ordinance LC 23-14, please indicate by raising your electronic hand. No hands raised, Mr. President.
Thank you. Anyone in the audience opposed to ordinance LC 23-14? Anyone opposed, please come forward. Mark, anyone online?
If you're joining us online and would like to speak in opposition of LC 23-14, please indicate by raising your electronic hand. Still no hands raised, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any commissioners have any questions? Okay, at this time, I'll close the public hearing on ordinance LC 23-14 and turn it over to Commissioner Hall.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to approve ordinance LC 23-14, ordinance creating the Lake Forest Library Tax District.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Hall, second by Commissioner Masson to approve ordinance LC 23-14. Any questions on the motion before we take roll call? Seeing none, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Angel? Absent. Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll call reveals ordinance LC 23-14 has been approved by Levy Court. Item number 3, LC 23-15, Commissioner Hall.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ordinance LC 23-15, an ordinance creating the Caesar Rodney Library Tax District. The County of Kent hereby ordains, pursuant to the provisions of 9 Delaware Code, Section 801 at ESC, there is hereby established a Caesar Rodney Library Tax District. A legal description for which is attached hereto as Exhibit A, and a map illustrating same is attached hereto as Exhibit B, and made a part hereof. There is hereby created a Library Commission for the purpose of advising Levy Court on the operation of the Library District, and the officers, members, and rules and regulations for the Commission shall be designated and from time to time amended by resolution of the Levy Court of Kent County. The county shall levy and raise by taxation a special Caesar Rodney library tax for the purpose of the establishment of said library district and for the maintenance and increase and support of library, such sum of money as is annually approved in a budget for such purpose by levy court, and with said budget to be adopted at the same time the annual county budget is adopted. Said library tax shall be levied upon the real property located within the Caesar Rodney Library District according to most recent assessment list in the county, and shall be in addition to and levied at the same time as the county tax. If any section, paragraph, sentence, clause, or phrase of this ordinance shall be declared invalid for any reason whatsoever, same shall not affect the remaining portions of this ordinance, which shall continue in full force and effect, and to this end, the provisions of this ordinance are hereby declared severable. Back to you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any questions from the commissioners before we open public hearing? Seeing none at this time, we'll open the public hearing for ordinance LC 23-15, Caesar Rodney Library Tax District. Anyone in favor, please come forward. Anyone in favor, please come forward. Mark, anyone online?
If you're joining us online and would like to speak in favor of ordinance LC 23-15, please indicate by raising an electronic hand. No hands raised, Mr. President.
Thank you. Anyone opposed? Anyone opposed to ordinance LC 23-15, please come forward. Anyone opposed, please come forward. Mark, anyone online?
Similarly, if you're joining us online and would like to speak in opposition of LC 23-15, please indicate by raising your electronic hand. Still no hands raised, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any commissioners have any questions? If not, Commissioner Hall, turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to approve ordinance LC 23-15, an ordinance creating the Caesar Rodney Library Tax District.
Second motion.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Hall, second by Commissioner Sweeney. Any questions on the motion? If not, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Angel? Absent. Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll call reveals that ordinance LC 23-15 has been approved by Levy Court. Ordinance LC 23-16, Commissioner Hall.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ordinance LC 23-16, an ordinance creating the Capital Library Tax District. The County of Kent hereby ordains, pursuant to the provisions of 9 Delaware Code, Section 801 at ESC, there is hereby established a Capital Library Tax District. a legal description for which is attached hereto as Exhibit A, and a map illustrating same is attached hereto as Exhibit B and made a part hereof. There is hereby created a library commission for the purpose of advising the levy court on the operation of the library district, and the officers, members, and rules and regulations for the commission shall be designated from time to time, amended by resolution of the levy court of Kent County. The county shall levy and raise by taxation a special library tax for the purpose of establishment of said library district, and for the maintenance and increase of support of library, such sum of money as is annually approved in a budget for such purpose by the levy court, with said budget to be adopted at the same time the annual county budget is adopted. Said library tax shall be levied upon the real property located within the capital library district according to the most recent assessment list in the county, and shall be in addition to and levied at the same time as the county tax. If any section, paragraph, sentence, clause, or phrase of this ordinance shall be declared invalid or for any reason whatsoever, same shall not affect the remaining portions of this ordinance, which shall continue in full force and effect, and to this end, the provisions of this ordinance are hereby declared to be severable. Back to you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any commissioners have any questions? Commissioner Sweeney.
Thank you, sir. For the county attorney, this ordinance does not include the incorporated areas of the city of Dover because, and this was by agreement with the city of Dover County Council, as well as members of the Dover Library Advisory Board. Because it's excluded, should we not exclude that in the verbiage here in this ordinance?
It looks like on the map that the city's actually excluded on the map.
It's excluded on the map, but I looked through the description of the tax district itself, and it's pretty, it lays out all of the boundaries of the capital school district, but not the inner boundaries of the city of Dover. Although it's much longer than the rest of them, so it may.
I would think the verbal description would need to match the map.
So then when we make the motion, we either have to make the motion to include, excludes the city of Dover incorporated areas, or
There's exclusion written on there. You don't want the
in
city.
the ordinance itself,
In the,
in the map description.
yes.
Yeah, but I was just wondering if we should include it in the ordinance itself, since that's kind of the synopsis that Jeff just read into the record. Is that necessary?
If I
I
could,
don't think so.
under Exhibit A, under, capital, it says, there's an asterisk before the line-by-line description saying excluding properties in the city of Dover, and then the map conforms to that, showing that none of the properties in the city of Dover are affected by this. So I think we have agreement between Exhibits A and B.
Okay, so as long as that the map description is part of the ordinance, that it does say that there is an exclusion of those properties in the city of Dover, then that's acceptable.
Yeah, Exhibit A is part of the ordinance.
Okay.
I didn't see that there's like really small writing up at the top of
Okay.
the asterisk that excludes it.
That works. That's fine. Thank you. Thanks, Susan. I didn't mean to make you walk down here.
Okay, at this time, we'll conduct a public hearing on ordinance LC 23-16. I'll ask anyone who may be in the audience that is in favor of this ordinance to please come forward and state your reasons why. Anyone in favor, please come forward. Anyone online, Mark?
If anyone joining us online would like to speak in favor of LC 23-16, please indicate by raising your electronic hand at this time. See no hands raised, Mr. President.
Thank you. At this time, anyone in the audience who may be opposed to ordinance LC 23-16, please come forward. Anyone opposed, please come forward. Anyone online, Mark?
If you're online and would like to speak in opposition of LC 23-16, please indicate by raising your electronic hand. Still no hands raised, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any further questions by the commissioners before I close the public hearing? Seeing none, at this time, we'll close the public hearing on ordinance LC 23-16, and I'll turn it back over to Commissioner Hall.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to approve ordinance LC 23-16, an ordinance creating the Capital Library Tax District.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Hall, second by Commissioner Sweeney. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Angel, absent. Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll call reveals ordinance LC 23-16 has been approved by Levy Court. Continuing our public hearings, we have resolution and ordinances pertaining to the fiscal year 2024 budget. Commissioner Hall, turn it back over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to approve resolution 3981, fiscal year 2024 property tax rate. Be it resolved that the Kent County Levy Court affixes the property tax rate for fiscal year 2024 to be 36 cents.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Hall, second by Commissioner Sweeney. Any questions on the motion? This is a resolution, so we're going to have public hearings on each one of these. So we'll back up a couple steps, and it is Resolution 3981, fiscal year 24 property tax rate of 36 cents per hundred. So we'll ask anyone in the audience who is in favor of this ordinance, or excuse me, resolution, to please come forward. Anyone in the audience in favor, please come forward. Mark?
If anyone joining us online would like to speak in favor of resolution 3981, please indicate by raising your electronic hand. See no hands raised, Mr. President.
Thank you. Anyone in the audience opposed to resolution 3981, please come forward. Anyone opposed, please come forward. Mark, line, please.
Similarly, if you're joining us online and would like to speak in opposition, please indicate by raising your electronic hand at this time. Still no hands raised, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any commissioners have any questions before I close the public hearing? I don't see any. Commissioner Hall, back to you for your motion, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to approve resolution 3981, fiscal year 2024 property tax rate.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Hall, second by Commissioner Sweeney. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Angel? Absent. Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
No.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
No.
Mr. Sweeney?
This is a tough one. Just like everybody else in Kent County and Delaware and most of the nation, Kent County is not immune to our economy having problems. Over the last year, inflation has hit Kent County just as much as it has hit you. A downturn in the real estate market has hit Kent County, just as it, which impacts our revenue. And we're paying more for everything. As much as we don't like to raise taxes, keep in mind that this levy court has not raised taxes since 2009. And then the following year, we actually reduced taxes. In fact, since 1992, this levy court has raised taxes twice and reduced taxes 4 times. So we're very responsible with your money. We know whose money it is. We're accounting it to you. We do everything in the open. You can look at our books anytime you want. You can ask any questions you want about our books. Nothing going on here that we're not proud of and we're happy to move forward on. 6 cents on average is going to impact. I read the article in the paper, if any of you saw the paper, and the numbers on housing costs and all that were a little off. The actual assessed value of a house in Kent County is around $41,000. So this is going to impact a house in Kent County by about $30 a year. Some people pay more, some people pay less, but about $30 a year, so it's really not that bad. We started off with a budget that was almost $8 million in the red, and with the help of the county administrator, with the help of Susan Durham, our director of finance, as well as hard work by all of the directors that report to the county administrator, as well as the 7 commissioners sitting up here, we were able to address that, taking money out of reserves, cutting expenses, looking for ways to move expenses into further years, and delaying some projects that we need to get done. But we work hard up here. We've done the right thing. My vote's yes.
Mr. Pepper?
My vote is yes, and gotta say, I'm kind of disappointed in a couple of my fellow commissioners for voting against it. We've been working hard on this budget for 7 months or better, and we've come up with all different kinds of ways to kick projects down the road, eliminate projects. We've cut everywhere as we can cut, and it is what it is. As Commissioner Sweeney stated, the economy hit us as well as you. It costs as much for us to buy toilet paper as it does you. And so, you know, we've tried everything, and like I said, we've cut out some things that all commissioners were in favor of including. This year is the first year in at least 12 years that we haven't increased the rate that we give to the volunteer fire companies, that we agreed that we would continue to increase that rate until we reached 1.2 million. Well, we're just short of that, and we had to cut that this year, and that is something we did not want to do. It's a hard decision to make, and I'm proud of the commissioners that sat up here tonight and made that hard decision and voted in favor of the tax increase, because that's something that we're not used to doing. Like Commissioner Sweeney stated, for the past 13 years that I've been here, I've not had to vote for a tax increase. And so it's a difficult thing to do. And like I said, I'm proud of the commissioners that voted for it. So yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 4 yeas, 2 nay, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll call reveals the property tax rate for fiscal year 24 is 36 cents. Next item, Commissioner Hall.
Thank you, Mr. President. Next up is Resolution 3982, fiscal year 2024 Old Mill Acres Suburban Park District tax rate. Be it resolved that Kent County Levy Court affixes the Old Mill Acres Suburban Park District tax rate for fiscal year 2024 to be 4.4 cents.
Thank you. And this also is a resolution 3982, which requires a public hearing. At this time, we'll open the public hearing on resolution 3982. And I'll ask anyone in the audience who may be in favor of this resolution to please come forward and state why. Anyone in favor? Mark, anyone online?
Mr. President, we don't have any members of the general public online at this time.
Thank you. Anyone in the audience that's opposed to Resolution 3982? Anyone in the audience opposed? Please come forward. Mark? Okay. No one in favor, no one opposed. Resolution 3982. Any questions for return to Commissioner Hall for a motion? Don't see any. Commissioner Hall?
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to approve Resolution 3982, fiscal year 2024 Old Mill Acres Suburban Park District tax rate.
Before I second this resolution, what a suburban park district is, all three of this one and the next two, Old Mill, Rural Grant, and Eagles Nest, are subdivisions that are in my district. Years ago, when the developer developed those, they had large open parcels that were either crossed over into other subdivisions. We created a special district for each of those subdivisions to be able to have county staff take care of that open space that they had that we shared. So this is our way of getting back a little bit of the money that cost us to take care of their property for them. And from my investigation, it nowhere near covers the actual cost of what we actually do for them. So I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Hall, second by Commissioner Sweeney to approve Resolution 3982. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Angel? Absent. Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll call reveals Resolution 3982 has been approved by Levy Court. Resolution 3983, Commissioner Hall.
Thank you, Mr. President. Resolution 3983, fiscal year 2024 Royal Grant Suburban Park District tax rate. Be it resolved that Kent County Levy Court affixes the Royal Grant Suburban Park District tax rate for fiscal year 2024 to be 5.7 cents.
Okay, likewise, this is a public hearing, Resolution 3983. We'll open the public hearing and ask anyone in favor of this resolution to please come forward. Anyone in favor? Mark?
Mr. President, still no members of the general public online.
Okay, thank you. Anyone opposed to Resolution 3983, please come forward. Anyone opposed? Still no members of the public?
That's correct, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any questions on the resolutions before we ask for a motion? See any? Commissioner Hall, turn it over to you, sir, for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to approve Resolution 3983, fiscal year 2024 Royal Grant Suburban Park District tax rate.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Hall, second by Commissioner Sweeney to approve Resolution 3983. Any questions by the commissioners? If not, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Angel? Absent. Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll call reveals Resolution 3983, Rural Grant Subdivision Park District tax rate has been approved by Levy Court. Item number 4, Resolution 3984.
Thank you, Mr. President. Resolution 3984, fiscal year 2024 Eagles Nest Suburban Park District tax rate. Be it resolved that the Kent County Levy Court affixes the Eagles Nest Suburban Park District tax rate for fiscal year 2024 to be 6.5 cents.
Thank you. This is a resolution as well, so we need to have anyone in the audience that is in favor to please come forward. Anyone in the audience in favor, please come forward. No one.
If there's any members of the general public that just joined us online that would like to speak in favor of this resolution, please indicate by raising electronic hand at this time. I see no hands raised, Mr. President.
Thank you. Anyone in the audience opposed to Resolution 3984? Anyone opposed, please come forward. Thank you. Before I close the public hearing, any commissioners have any questions? If not, Commissioner Hall, turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to approve Resolution 3984, fiscal year 2024 Eagles Nest Suburban Park District tax rate.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Hall, second by Commissioner Sweeney to approve Resolution 3984. Any questions from the commissioners? Give me a roll call, please.
Mr. Angel, absent. Mr. Hall,
Yes.
Mr. Hertz,
Yes.
Mrs. Maston,
Yes.
Mr. Scott,
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney.
Yes.
Mr. Pepper.
Yeah. Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll call reveals Resolution 3984 has been approved by Levy Court. Resolution 3985, Commissioner Hall.
Thank you, Mr. President. Resolution 3985, Kent County Disposal District Number 1 user rates. Be it resolved, the user rate for Kent County Disposal District Number 1 for fiscal year 2024 be $2.84 per 1,000 gallons of sewage transmitted into the district. This rate will be assessed on sanitary sewer districts and others except septage haulers contracting with Kent County for sewage disposal services.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none. Anyone in the audience who is in favor of Resolution 3985, please come forward. Anyone in favor? Anyone opposed? Anyone opposed to Resolution 3985, please come forward. Anyone online, Mark?
If you're joining us online and would like to speak in favor or opposition of Resolution 3985, please indicate by raising your electronic hand at this time. No hands raised, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any questions from the commissioners? If not, we'll close the public hearing and ask for roll call, please.
Mr. Angel, absent. Mr. Hall,
Yes.
Mr. Hertz,
Yes.
Mrs. Maston,
Yes.
Mr. Scott,
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney,
Yes.
Mr. Pepper.
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Commissioner Hall, you better give us a motion.
Yes, Mr. President. Move to approve Resolution 3985, Kent County's Disposal District Number 1 user rates.
Second the motion.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Hall, second by Mr. Hertz. Do the roll call, please. Again, please, Ms. Panaka.
Mr. Angel, absent. Mr. Hall,
Yes.
Mr. Hertz,
Yes.
Mrs. Maston,
Yes.
Mr. Scott,
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney,
I'm really tempted to vote no this time. Yes.
Mr. Pepper.
Yes.
Roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll call reveals Resolution 3985 has been approved by Levy Court. Next item, Resolution 3987. Commissioner Hall.
Thank you, Mr. President. Resolution 3987, fiscal year 2024 Milford Library District tax rate. Be it resolved that the Kent County Levy Court affixes the Milford Library District tax rate for fiscal year 2024 to be 7.75 cents.
Any questions from the commissioners? If not, at this time, this is a public hearing as well. Resolution 3987. Anyone in the audience who is in favor of this resolution, please come forward. Anyone in favor, please come forward. Anyone opposed, please come forward. Anyone opposed? Mark, anyone online?
If you're joining us online and would like to speak in favor or opposition of Resolution 3987, please indicate by raising your electronic hand at this time. I see no hands raised, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any commissioners have any questions for our close the hearing? Seeing none, I'll close the hearing and turn it over to Commissioner Hall for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to approve Resolution 3987, fiscal year 2024 Milford Library District tax rate.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Hall, second by Commissioner Sweeney. Any questions? Seeing none, can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Angel? Absent. Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll call reveals Resolution 3987 has been approved by Levy Court. Next item, item 7, Resolution 3996. Commissioner Hall.
Thank you, Mr. President. Resolution 3996, fiscal year 2024 Duck Creek Library District tax rate. Be it resolved that the Kent County Levy Court affixes the Duck Creek Library District tax rate for fiscal year 2024 to be 3.3 cents.
Any questions from the commissioners? Seeing none, at this time, Resolution 3996. Anyone in the audience in favor? Anyone in the audience in favor, please come forward. Anyone in the audience opposed? Anyone in the audience opposed, please come forward. Mark?
If there's anyone joining us online that would like to speak in favor or opposition to Resolution 3996, please indicate by raising your electronic hand at this time. I see no hands raised, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any questions from the commissioners? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing on Resolution 3996 and turn it over to Commissioner Hall.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to approve Resolution 3996, fiscal year 2024 Duck Creek Library District tax rate.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Hall, second by Commissioner Sweeney. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Angel? Absent. Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Abstain.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 5 yeas, 1 absent, 1 abstaining.
Thank you. Roll call reveals Resolution 3996 has been approved by Levy Court. Item number 8, Resolution 3997. Commissioner Hall.
Thank you, Mr. President. Resolution 3997, fiscal year 2024 Lake Forest Library District tax rate. Be it resolved that the Kent County Levy Court affixes the Lake Forest Library District tax rate for fiscal year 2024 to be 3.3 cents.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Resolution 3997. Anyone in the audience in favor of this resolution, please. In the audience in favor, please come forward. Anyone in the audience opposed? Anyone in the audience opposed, please come forward. Mark?
If there's anyone joining us online that would like to speak in favor or opposition to Resolution 3997, please indicate by raising your electronic hand at this time. I see no hands raised, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any commissioners have any questions? If not, Commissioner Hall?
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to approve Resolution 3997, fiscal year 2024 Lake Forest Library District tax rate.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Hall, second by Commissioner Sweeney to approve Resolution 3997. Any questions on that motion? Seeing none, can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Angel, absent. Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll call reveals Resolution 3997 has been approved by Levy Court. Resolution 3998, Commissioner Hall.
Thank you, Mr. President. Resolution 3998, fiscal year 2024 Cesar Rodney Library District Tax Rate. Be it resolved that the Kent County Levy Court fixes the Cesar Rodney Library District Tax Rate for fiscal year 2024 to be 3.3 cents.
Okay, at this time, Resolution 3998, public hearing. Will I ask anyone in favor, to please come forward? Anyone in favor, please come forward. Seeing none, anyone opposed? Anyone opposed to Resolution 3998, please come forward. Mark?
If there's anyone joining us online who would like to speak in favor or opposition to 3998, please indicate by raising your electronic hand at this time. See no hands raised, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any questions, commissioners, before I close the public hearing? If not, close the public hearing, turn it over to Commissioner Hall.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to approve Resolution 3998, fiscal year 2024 Cesar Rodney Library District Tax Rate.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Hall, second by Commissioner Sweeney to approve. Anyone have any questions? Seeing none, can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Angel, absent. Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll call reveals Resolution 3998 has been approved. Next item on the agenda, item 10, Resolution 3999, Commissioner Hall.
Thank you, Mr. President. Resolution 3999, fiscal year 2024 Capital Library District Tax Rate. Be it resolved that the Kent County Levy Court affixes the Capital Library District Tax Rate for fiscal year 2024 to be 3.3 cents.
Thank you. Again, this is a public hearing, Resolution 3999. I'll ask anyone in the audience in favor, please come forward. Anyone in the audience, please come forward if you're in favor. Anyone opposed? Anyone opposed? Please come forward. Mark?
If there's anyone joining us online that would like to speak in favor or opposition to Resolution 3999, please indicate by raising electronic hand at this time. Still no hands raised, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any commissioners have any questions before I close the public hearing? Seeing none, close the public hearing and turn over to Commissioner Hall.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to approve Resolution 3999, fiscal year 2024 Capital Library District Tax Rate.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Hall, second by Commissioner Sweeney to approve Resolution 3999. Any questions? Seeing none, a roll call, please.
Mr. Angel, absent. Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll call reveals Resolution 3999 has been approved by Levy Court. Item number 11, Ordinance LC 23-10, Commissioner Hall.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ordinance LC 23-10, an ordinance adopting the budgets of Kent County, Delaware for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2023. Whereas the Kent County Levy Court Commissioners have diligently reviewed actual revenues and expenses for fiscal year 23 and projected revenues and expenses for fiscal year '24. And whereas, after careful consideration, the Kent County Levy Court Commissioners have developed budgets for all general, restricted, and other funds. Now therefore, the Levy Court of Kent County, Delaware hereby ordains. Section 1. The Kent County Levy Court fiscal year 2024 budget incorporated herein by this reference is adopted as the annual operating budget of Kent County, Delaware for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2023 and ending on June 30th, 2024. Section 2. This ordinance is adopted pursuant to the powers conferred upon the Levy Court of Kent County, Delaware and the Delaware Code, Title 9, Section 4110. Section 3. If any section, paragraph, sentence, clause, or phrase of this ordinance shall be declared invalid for any reason whatsoever, such decision shall not affect the remaining portions of this ordinance, which shall continue in full force and effect, and to this end, the provisions of this ordinance are hereby declared to be severable.
Any questions? Seeing none, this also is an ordinance which requires a public hearing. Ordinance LC 23-10. I ask anyone in the audience who is in favor of this ordinance to please come forward. Anyone in favor, please come forward. Anyone opposed, please come forward. Online?
If there's anyone online that would like to speak in favor or opposition to ordinance LC 23-10, please indicate by raising your electronic hand at this time. No hands raised, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any questions before I close the public hearing? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Commissioner Hall, turn it over to you, sir.
Thanks, Thanks, Mr. President. Move to approve ordinance LC 23-10, an ordinance adopting the budgets of Kent County, Delaware for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2023.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hall, second by Commissioner Maston. Any questions? If not, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Angel? Absent. Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
No.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Before I cast my vote, I just want to make sure we're clear on a couple things about our budget. Our budget was a little over $37 million. I've already explained to you the process we went through because we came up short this year due to revenue issues. But the expenses in this budget include $4.4 million for community services. That's all your parks, the recreation services that are provided by Park Service, which is a great thing. And it is not a moneymaker, but it is well used. If you've ever heard Director Shepard here talking to the Levy Court Commissioners about what goes on at his gym, it is almost used 100% of the time. $5.6 million in planning services. That's what keeps you safe when you walk into a building, into any commercial building that's in the county. Our planning services people work hard to enforce code and make sure that structures that go up in Kent County are safe. Includes $14.7 million in public safety. That's the paramedics. That's 911 center, which we run for the entire county and sometimes for the other counties. And I hope to God that you never have to see a paramedic, but know that when you need them, they'll be there. Other than county row offices and some other expenses, I want to also point out almost $1.6 million in community service grants. That $1.6 million is the $1.2 million that we give to the fire companies. That increased since 2010, when it was $387,000 a year. It's now $1.2 million. This past year, we also included nearly $5 million in grants to the fire companies from ARPA funds that we received, which made it more palatable to hold the line on the increase to fire companies. This is a good budget. It's balanced. we pay for our services. The county itself is about $11.5 million fee to run the county itself. So you should be proud of what the 7 commissioners up here worked on for the last 6 months. But personally, I want to thank Susan Durham and the Department of Finance and the new county administrator, Ken Decker, for all their hard work, as well as all the directors and everything, and row offices who contributed to keep this budget to where it is. My vote's yes.
And again, I just want to reiterate that I'm extremely proud of the commissioners and the staff that have worked on this budget. And it was not an easy budget. In years past, we've had easy budgets. This was not an easy budget to come up with, because we cut things that every one of us wanted to see go through. And but we were able to hold the line on some items that we absolutely had to have, especially in the name of public safety. So again, thank you, fellow commissioners. Proud of you for all the hard work you put in on this, and also staff. So yes, my vote is yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 5 yeas, 1 nay, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll call reveals ordinance LC 23-10, an ordinance adopting the budgets of Kent County, Delaware for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2023, has been approved by Levy Court. Next item is Resolution 3988. Commissioner Hall.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a minute. Sorry about that, Mr. President. Resolution 3988, command for the collection of sewer delinquent accounts. Be it resolved that the Kent County Levy Court commands the Director of Finance to collect sewer delinquent accounts by district as of March 31st, 2023.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. I ask anyone in the audience that's in favor of Resolution 3988 to please come forward. Anyone opposed, please come forward. Mark?
If there's anyone joining us online that would like to speak in favor or opposition to Resolution 3988, please indicate by raising your electronic hand at this time. See no hands raised, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any commissioners have any questions on Resolution 3988 before we close? If not, I'll close the public hearing and turn 3988 over to Commissioner Hall.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to approve Resolution 3988, command for collection of sewer delinquent accounts.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Hall, second by Commissioner Hertz. Any questions? Seeing none, let's have roll call, please.
Mr. Angel, absent. Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll call reveals Resolution 3988 has been approved by Levy Court. That'll close our public hearings for this evening. There is no old business. We have new business under Commissioner Hall. Back to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have here the commands to the Director of Finance for resolutions pertaining to the fiscal year 2024 budget. Resolutions 3981 through 3985, 3987, 3996 through 3999. Upon adoption of the resolutions, commands are issued to the Director of Finance to collect the taxes.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Hall, second by Commissioner Sweeney. Any questions? If not, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Angel, absent. Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll call reveals motion passed. Commissioner Hall, you have a couple introductions there.
Thank you, Mr. President. Introducing Resolution 4000, fiscal year 2024, sewer assessment rules for Kent County Sewage Disposal District Number 1 as listed on the form. Second item is introduction of ordinance LC 2317, an ordinance amending the annual operating budget for fiscal year 2023 to appropriate funds to the food bank and CDBG county match and incorporate additional paramedic grant funding.
Thank you. Mr. Maston, you have an appointment.
As a result of a resignation, I have an appointment to the Personnel Administration Board. It's Mr. Sam Vodor. He's a resident of the village of Eastridge in Smyrna. He's an undergraduate in engineering, graduate study in business management. He was a CEO of his own company, part of corporate management. Based on his skill set in the meeting I had with him, I think he would be very well qualified to be on the Personnel Administration Board.
Is that your motion?
Oh, sorry. I'd like to make the motion to appoint Mr. Sam Vodor to the Personnel Administration Board.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Maston, second by Commissioner Sweeney. Any questions? Seeing none, have a roll call, please.
Mr. Angel, absent. Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott? Mr.
Yes.
Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll call reveals Mr. Sam Vodor is now on the Personnel Administration Board. Okay, moving to Commissioner Angel, I have to ask Mr. Sweeney to handle the next 2 items, please.
Thank you, sir. Number 1 is ARPA-funded HVAC air quality improvements. Mr. Coelho is approaching the dais to give us an update.
Thank you, Commissioner Sweeney. As you commissioners are fully aware, you've been working with ARPA funds for, it seems like forever now, and we have recently been able to reach points where you can actually agree or approve the disbursement of the funds. Previously, you approved the employee premium pay, and I'm here tonight to get formal approval for the expenditure of the $1 million that was allocated for HVAC air quality improvements in the various county buildings. The number was adjusted just a bit from your original memo. It is $1,090,376, and there's one other thing that's on this proposal, this request, and that is the expenditure of the original $85,000 the county had budgeted. As you may recall from the ARPA funds, previously budgeted funds have to still be spent. We were going to include that $85,000 in the overall cost of the project, but the HVAC, the chiller in this building, failed about a week ago, and the county has had to rent one until this project can be completed, and that's expected to cost about $88,000. So the second motion would approve that expense for that expenditure, the previously funded project. We will not do the air quality study. Instead, we will just move straight into upgrading the system and installing the ionization air purification system. Back to you, Commissioner Sweeney.
Commissioner Sweeney, we'll turn it over to you unless anyone has any questions.
Thanks, sir. I move to authorize the expenditure of $1,090,376 of ARPA funding for HVAC air quality improvements in various county buildings using state contracted vendor modern controls, and further authorize the president of Levy Court to execute such contracts as required to complete the HVAC air quality improvements within ARPA-defined timeframes. I also move to reallocate previously budgeted county funds for an air quality study to rental of an emergency chiller, and further authorize the president of Levy Court to execute such rental agreement.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Sweeney, second by Commissioner Maston. Any questions on that motion? If not, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Angel, absent. Mr. Hall,
Yes.
Mr. Hertz,
Yes.
Mrs. Maston,
Yes.
Mr. Scott,
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney,
Yes.
Mr. Pepper.
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll call reveals the motion passed. Item number
Thank you,
2.
Commissioners.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Simmons, our Director of IT, is in the house, and he is going to approach the dais and bring us up to date on network maintenance.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm here tonight for our SmartNet network renewal. It's an annual renewal for our maintenance contract for all our Cisco hardware and software throughout the county, not only here at the administration building, but also at our other facilities, including the library, rec center, public safety, and the treatment plant. The Cisco software is brought through a third party, through InfoSystems on state contract. It's our maintenance to come out and support any of the hardware and software problems we may have that runs our network in the county here. We're purchasing on a state contract for a multi-year renewal cover period from July 1st through June 30th for an annual cost of $36,000, $561. Cisco announced that the current customers was on a perpetual on-premises call deployment renewed to a calibration flex plan. So what they did is they basically broke out the plan to the flex plan for our telephone system, which is $15,000 per year for 3 years to come out to $45,000. And then our SmartNet maintenance for all the other hardware is $21,561 per year for a total of 3 years for $64,683. And that comes to a grand total of $109,683. Like you said, our network is a critical piece of infrastructure that runs anything from the dais to our telephone systems to our internet to our connections. And we last year, with talking about price increases, staff did a good job of trying to go out and work on a state contract and find the best deal for the county. And we feel that with this is the best deal out there going through InfoSystems on state contract. So with that said, I have a motion before you to approve of the contract for a 3-year period for the $109,683 that'll be funded through the SmartNet maintenance for fiscal year 2024, 2025, and 2026 operating budgets. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. President. Joe, thank you to you and your staff for your hard work in keeping our network up. People don't realize that the internet is now a public utility. Just like your cell phones, your telephones, your electricity, you don't realize that it's there until you need it, and it's not. So having maintenance on all this equipment that you're taking care of is a smart thing to do. I move to approve payment to Info Solutions for the renewal of the Cisco SmartNet maintenance for a multi-year agreement to cover the period of July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2026, in the total amount of $109,683 to be purchased using the Delaware State contract and authorizing the President of Levy Court to sign necessary documents. The funding source for the SmartNet maintenance will be FY24, FY25, and FY26 operating budgets.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Sweeney, second by Commissioner Maston. Any questions? Any questions from the commissioners? Seeing none, a roll call, please. Mr. Naka.
Mr. Angel, absent. Mr. Hall,
Yes.
Mr. Hertz,
Yes.
Mrs. Maston,
Yes.
Mr. Scott,
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney,
Yes.
Mr. Pepper.
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll call reveals the motion passed. Next item is an introduction by Commissioners Maston and Scott.
Ordinance LC 23-18, Home Occupational Retail, an ordinance to amend Kent County Code, Volume 2, Chapter 205, zoning as amended by revising Article 6, Conditions of Approval, 205-68, residential uses. Item F, home occupational including family daycare home, to permit the limited sale of products not produced on the premises.
Thank you for the introduction.
Mr. President, there's also a public hearing on this for Tuesday, July 18th, 2023 at 7 p.m.
Correct. Thank you. I'll ask our attorney, do we have need for executive session this evening? Do we have a need for executive session this evening?
Not that I'm aware of.
All right, and Commissioner Sweeney, I need you to make a motion on item number 2.
Thanks, sir. I just want to say that I'm disappointed in Commissioner Maston and Commissioner Scott for not doing some kind of tandem reading of that last introduction.
That would have made the meeting more interesting.
That would really have been cool. Move to go into executive session immediately following the committee meetings on June 20th, 23 for preliminary discussion, on-site acquisition for a publicly funded capital improvement, legal strategy session regarding collective bargaining or pending or potential litigation, and personnel matters pursuant to 29 Del Code 10,004 B24 and 9.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Sweeney, second by Commissioner Maston. Any questions? Seeing none, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Angel absent. Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll call reveals the motion passed. Any information items from the commissioners? Just one before our audience leaves. We thank you for being here tonight and bearing with us. This was not a very exciting meeting. A lot of motions and formalities, but wasn't a whole lot of excitement. So thank you for being here. Thank you for sticking by and coming forward and everything. So thank you. And at this time, I'll ask for public comments.
I'm Kay Wheatley, and you said tonight that it wasn't a very exciting meeting. You've come real close to bringing me to tears, and I'm still struggling. And I just, on behalf of all the libraries and their communities, want to thank all of you, County Administrator Decker, for all of your support and for helping us move forward and making sure that we've taken one step towards covering our operating expenses once these new libraries are built, and even the existing ones that operate as it is. So thank you very much, sincerely.
Thank you for being here. Come on down.
Hello again, Marlena Scott. I'm the director of the Harrington Public Library. I second what Kay said. This is something Kay's been working on it longer than I have, but this is something we desperately wanted for our area, and this means so much to our community and all of our people. And I just want to thank all of you for your support and for putting this forward. That means the world to us.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Any other public comments? Any other public comments? Any commissioner comments? Mr. Hall.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was just a bit surprised and shocked, but in my own defense, I tried to make the 16 resolutions and ordinances as exciting as I could. Back to you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Hall. I'm glad you were on your game tonight. Commissioner Maston.
A sincere thanks to Kay Wheatley, Kathy Messer, Rick Horsey, and the rest of the Duck Creek Regional Library for your support over the years. For me, it's been 12 years, And to know that we have the $18 million to build the library means a lot after persevering through paper streets and any possible problem that anybody could give to us. But more importantly, to the city of Harrington, who's breaking ground for their library tomorrow. Very excited for Marlene and her group. And Rhonda, my gosh, I'm so glad you joined the Library Advisory Board. But for me, to all of you commissioners here, it really means a lot to go from not a whole lot of support a few months ago to the support tonight so that we can all realize the building of the new libraries in the respective towns. It really means a lot. And like Kay said, it could almost bring you to tears, but I have to contain myself here. Unfortunately, I'm not allowed to vote because of public integrity, and I am a past president of the library. But again, a sincere thanks to all of you, and certainly County Administrator Decker for all your guidance to get us through to this point. You have no idea how much this means to a lot of us in the audience, as well as to me up here personally for the effort that we put forth over the year. So again, a tremendous thank you to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Masson, for your insight and your support of your, not only your town, but also your district. Thank you. Any other commissioner comments? Commissioner Sweeney.
Last night I had the opportunity to attend a House of Representatives town hall meeting. During that meeting, one of our representatives said that one of the things they'll be working on over the next year or soon is a new housing code for the state of Delaware. And I gave them a rundown of the zoning that Sarah and her team have worked on so diligently. I gave them a rundown of the zoning that we introduced tonight, as well as the zoning that we're going to consider for accessory dwellings, and implored them to include us when they start talking about any housing changes that are going to impact our planning, our zoning, and our management of the counties, which includes Newcastle County and Sussex County along with us. So it's out there. I'm hoping that they do that, but we'll see, and we'll hold them accountable if they don't.
Any other commissioner comments? Any other commissioner comments? If not, then I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Masson, second by Commissioner Sweeney. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody want to stay? We are adjourned.